Here's a demo of the disable automation process that I built. I was tasked with building a kill switch for automation in Salesforce. And so this is the solution that I came up with. It's a hierarchy custom setting. If you're not familiar with these, in Salesforce you can create a custom setting. It's very similar to what's structured like an object. It's got an object name, which is in this case automation controls, and then I've created various fields for configuring the disable switch. I've got these, well, let me just click manage and we'll look at it from a list view, from a page view. So I've got this disable apex triggers checkbox, disable object list, disable record triggered flows. I've got an expiration date for the kill switch so that it turns itself off automatically. I've got a global disable. Optionally, users can record a reason for disabling automation. And I've also got an object exemption list. So I'll just take a minute to explain all of these. The global disable is an override of all of this. If you check global disable, it's going to disable every apex trigger that has a kill switch associated with it. It's going to disable every record triggered flow on every object. So it basically overrides all of these settings and just kills everything. If you want to specifically kill just apex triggers, then you can check this box in all apex teams of objects. If you populate this box with whatever objects, then it's only going to disable automation for the listed objects. If this box is empty, if it's blank, then it's going to blanket disable for all objects. Now you can also do like not a global disable because it overrides everything, but you could say disable record triggered flows and apex triggers for everything except for opportunity. So this gives you a bit more granular control, like if you don't want to have to sit there and list every single API name of specific objects because you want to exclude one, well, you could just disable for everything and then add the objects to the exemption list that you want to exempt from being disabled. And so the way that all of this works is, well, there's a couple of ways. One option is to add a formula field on every object that is associated with a record triggered flow. And in this case, the field, this is a formula field named disable flows. And it basically just goes through the hierarchy of requirements. If now is greater than the expiration date, set disable flows to false, and then it goes on from greatest priority to least. So global disable, then it checks the exemption list, then it checks the object list, and so on. So the formula field will return true if the object and all the other values meet the criteria for disabling automation. And you would just put this formula field in the entry conditions of whatever record triggered flows you want to control. You'd need in one of these formulas for each object, and of course this one hard codes opportunity so that we can control it at the object level. And then alternatively, this is a lot to manage, having a formula field on every object. Single flow interview doing it this way, but a bit more to maintain. Another option that I've built in is a subflow. So I've got this auto launch disable automation, and basically it's the same thing as the formula field. It has an input variable for object name so that you can just pass the object name of whatever object that your record triggered flows on. So like in the example I shared before, opportunity value would get passed here. I've got this formula that looks very similar to the formula at the object level, and then it outputs true or false and returns that to whatever flow you're calling it from. So you could put a decision node at the top of your record triggered flow that is going to either continue or end based on the value of this that's returned by the subflow, whether true or false. So that's it. And then the last component of this is the Apex class that you can call from triggers. So I created this disable triggers Apex class that has a single method. It's a response method. It takes an object name as an argument, and then again it's going to do all of the same logic just in Apex format that the formula was doing. Exact same thing. And so what you would do is, and it's going to return a value of true or false. So triggers disabled is a Boolean. It's just going to return true or false. And then this is what it looks like on the trigger itself. So again, at the very top of the trigger, I'm going to call disable triggers.response. I'll pass the value of the object that the trigger is on. So in this case, opportunity. And then this is just basically saying if the response is true, then return in the trigger. And that's it. That's how it works. Pretty simple, but effective. One really cool feature of this automation controls custom settings is that it can be set, you can see here, at the organization level, which means this setting is going to apply org-wide. Alternatively, I can come here and create a profile-wide setting and apply this at the system admin level just by putting whatever profile name I want here and then setting the target. Or I can do it at a user level, so it only applies to my user or any specific user for that matter. So think backfilling opportunities, and I don't want automation to trigger as I'm backfilling them. I can disable automation just for my specific user, so everyone in the org continues to work business as usual, but whenever I update opportunities, no automation will fire for me. Really neat feature.